Bonjour classe et bienvenue à lesson 16. Today's lesson will look a little similar to yesterday's, especially if you were learning virtually yesterday. The first part will look the same, similar, but then the rest of it you'll complete on a Google form will be a bit different. So today and yesterday today is like the second part of yesterday. So you definitely need the Google form up, and I will guide you towards the reading material in case you missed it yesterday. Okay, so I'm going to skip over because I didn't update. We are working on the second part of this, but instead of writing sentences, you're going to be reading sentences. Okay, so we're going to get stuck into the reading workshop for today, which is, says lecture lundi. I could be scrapping this. And let's call this lecture mardi, lecture mardi. And the only reason that I'm doing it like this is to allow my group 1 and group 2 a chance to all access the resources that we have, the bibliothèque, the library that we have in the school. So instead of having a 20-minute session on one day, there's 2 series of 10 minutes. And that means that there'll be less of these reading workshops in the rest of the week. On your Google Forms. So I'm trying to kind of balance how much reading you get in. Reading is fantastic input, by the way, and you need a lot of input, whether it's me speaking at you, whether it's listening to music, whether it's reading, all of that input in language will help you produce great language. So if you know what you're doing because it was the same as yesterday, then get stuck in. We are focused down here à la maison. So I'm going to show you where on PowerSchool you are going to access books, articles, songs, whatever. There's a whole range of things. Choose one thing and then set your timer for 10 minutes. Sit back, relax, and read for enjoyment. Look for cognates to help you read from context. Sound the words out since you are doing this at home. Don't be shy of saying out what you're reading so you're making sense. So you're really connecting your brain with what you're reading. Even though you're enjoying it, you're still like absorbing it to get the most out of your reading time. Okay, and the 10 minutes will fly by. Have very limited distractions around you. Try to get by yourself in a room, even if it's going and sitting on the toilet for 10 minutes. Whatever you need to do, don't have anything on in the background that's going to distract you with words. And any sound that you have can just be a good beat, but no lyrics, no words to it. Okay, so I'm going to share with you the PowerSchool page. So again, you're going here for today, and I've changed it now to lecture lundi, mardi resources. So if yesterday you were in person, you had a book, but now you're at home, you are going to access these. So if you click here or here, this is more interesting, I'm going to click on me, then you go to the Google Drive and you'll have the option of choosing a reader, a PDF, or going to the Petit Journal Francophone, unzipping those and accessing the PDFs that are on there. There are Word documents which are editable, but I would just open up a PDF. Okay, so, and going back to these, well, both sets of these, some of these you may have read before last year. That is absolutely fine if you want to start with something that you've read before, just to ease your way back into it this year. I don't really mind at all. That sounds good to me. And there are some new ones here too, like Les Musiciens de Brême. And as more become available, I'll keep adding more to this list. The other option you have is, instead of going to the PDFs on the Google Drive, you could go access the websites. There's going to be an increasing list of websites here. The only problem with sometimes these, and it's not really a problem, it's just the level of challenge, is that these websites are designed for actual French children. So, and these, as you can see, are kids like a little bit older than the level that you're actually working at. So if you're preschool, these are more like older elementary. So that's not bad. These are real live sources, but they are maybe a little bit more challenging. So if I click on, I'm definitely going to click on this one because I've been showing this yesterday in classes. Yesterday I clicked on Ah les crocodiles, so let's have a look at a different one. À la Clairefontaine. This is a popular one. So these are all nursery rhymes or songs, and if you just read them, then they're pretty challenging. That you can read them, maybe start your clock, read them for 10 minutes. But down here, the reason why I wanted to show you is because you can also écouter. And so you can also listen to the music, to the sound as you're reading. Okay, so that's only going to be a couple minutes. And there's also an option of watching, but I wouldn't include that in your 10-minute reading time. Okay, because reading, we're developing this skill. It is helpful to hear the voices alongside it, but it's not going to help you just by watching. So just save that for afterwards. And so you can click around a few. There's some famous ones there, Alouette et Au clair de la lune. Okay, it's a rabbit hole, honestly. It's like being on TikTok until 4 a.m. Okay, then this other one is the Fable Cottage. So when you click on here, though, you'll see all these stories now in English right now. This is not English class. Don't click on these. Click on the French. And you'll have the same stories, but this time the titles are in French. If you don't see the title in French, you're not reading the right thing. So these are children's stories translated into French, and they do have an optional English translation and an audio. And it says here with a native French speaker. I've listened to this in class before with students, and the accent's good. Like the whole thing is good. It's great for kids and adults too. I don't know about that. So yeah, choose what you want, and then let's click on Blanche-Neige. So you'll see the stories broken down into just a few sentences or paragraph here or there with plenty of images, and each time it'll say translate, and that gives you the ability to translate just that little bit. Now, I don't want you to keep doing this, or definitely don't do it like straight away. Just read the French first, and then you can, if there's something that you're really stumbling on, then you can click it to just get to that one bit. But if you keep reading French, English, French, English, French, English, you're only spending 5 minutes then reading in French, which is not enough. So read the French first, and then you can go back and click on any of the English things that you don't understand. But so use that there as a resource, but don't rely on it. You should be able to also have the audio too. And I don't know why this has changed, because it didn't used to be like that, but whatever. I'll try and figure out a way. Okay, so that is what you're doing for today. I'm going to go back to the main screen, which is here. So I want you to pause the video, set your timer for 10 minutes, choose something to read, relax for 10 minutes, and then come back to the video. Okay, once you are back, then you're going to spend the next 5 minutes digesting that. So if you are working à la maison, which you are because you're watching a video, then I want you to give me a detailed summary in English on the Google form. So in the RW1 box, this means you need to tell me the title and the text that you read. So it's not enough actually even just to say Cinderella. The title is in French, Cendrillon. Where was it from? Was it from the PDF on the Google Drive, or was it from the Fable Cottage? So tell me the text, and some people have been telling me the name of the author too. Wonderful, tell me the author if you can find that. What did you understand about it? So I'm not expecting you to have read the whole text or the whole story at all, not in 10 minutes, no. You can come back to it if you want to next week. So up to that point, what did you understand? And if you have any questions about it, then that's the space to write it. They could be, some people have been writing kind of more deep reflective questions, and some people are very simple, like what does this word mean? Whatever question you have to engage with the text. If you don't have any, that's fine too. And I didn't put here, but what we've been doing in person is also talking about whether we would recommend that book or that story. Would you recommend that text or that website or whatever? And are you going to go back to it? So a lot of people, most people, I would say, you should not be completing a whole one of those stories in 10 minutes. And you shouldn't be spending longer than 10 minutes because we have other stuff to get through in class. So are you going to come back to this resource for next week? Okay, so pause, go ahead, complete that, and then come back to the video. All right, class. So today you might have seen on a Google form that there's no guided oral input, there's no class discussion. That bit we had yesterday when we talked about le weekend et le weekend passé. So now we're going to actually do the second half of that. Yesterday we did the shared writing. And I know if you were with me in person, you might like, we didn't get around to that. I know, it's okay. You can just jump on in with the shared reading with us. So we're going to do the shared reading. And part of that, and so we're going to do a couple more things with that and finish today with a quick quiz. Okay, so let's go. Le week-end passé de Madame Hunter. Okay, so je vais lire le texte en français en premier. So I'm going to read it in French first, and I want you to absorb and try and understand what it's saying. And in that box, j'ai remarqué, I want you to write what you notice about the language. When I'm reading it in French, you might notice things to do with the pronunciation. Then I'm going to read it in English, and you might notice something about the grammar, the spelling, to do with the language itself. Okay, so on y go en français en premier. Okay, le week-end passé de Madame Hunter. Pendant le week-end passé, Madame Hunter a fait du shopping et elle est allée au restaurant. Samedi soir, elle a regardé Netflix seule. Elle a bu du thé et mangé du gâteau en regardant Pride et Prejudice. Elle a dit, dimanche, je suis allée à l'église. Pendant l'après-midi, il faisait beau. Alors, je suis allée au parc avec ma famille. Le soir, j'ai lu mon roman. Alors, mon roman, c'est... oh oui, ça c'est Pride and Prejudice. Voilà. Ok, je vais relire en anglais, okay, en anglais. And this time you can be commenting on the things that you notice about the language, and maybe the similarities or differences between French and English, and what is new this time, okay? I don't want to hear any more about cognates or things that you've talked about before. What is new this time? The weekend passed of Madame Hunter. During the weekend past, Mrs. Hunter did some shopping, and she went to the restaurant. Saturday evening, she watched Netflix alone. She drank some tea and ate some cake while watching Pride and Prejudice. She said, Sunday, I went to the church. During the afternoon, it made nice, so it was nice. So I went to the park with my family. The evening, I read my novel. Okay, so pause as you need to, go and complete the j'ai remarqué section of the form, and then come back to the video. Okay, so now you're back with me. There's this one other way that we're going to engage with the text, and we're going to do grammar in context, and we're going to add to our editing checklist. So we started this a couple of weeks ago, so I want you to find that wherever it is. If it's in your French notebook binder, then pull it out, get out your pen or pencil, If you have done it online, then pull that out wherever it is. Google Drive. What's the other thing? Microsoft Office, whatever. Okay, so some of these things might be things that you noticed in your Je remarque. Some of it might not be. So I'm going to pull out a couple of things. Now, class, is this text all about present tense, future tense, or past tense? It is all about the past tense, okay. So we could put this maybe as our title, that we are going to be talking about the past tense, okay, for just this section. Okay, so go ahead and put past tense. And I'm going to go back. Oh, and looks like I have to clear. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I want to look at. One of the clues that we know it's past tense is because of this, passé. So le weekend passé. And one of the other things that I want to look at today is how our verbs change when we write in the past tense. And this editing checklist you can use when you come to do your own writing. So before I do it, I want you to look at the text and I want you to circle either on the screen or in your head or whatever. Make a note of every place where you see verbs indicating the past tense. So verbs are like the doing words. I did this, I ate this, I went here, I watched this. Those are all verbs. So where can we see them? So here we have a fait. I'm going to actually just include elle est allée, elle a regardé, elle a bu et mangé. Elle a dit, je suis allée, il faisait, je suis allée, j'ai lu. Okay. So those are the ones that I can see, and maybe I missed one or two, I don't know. And I want you to look at those and see what are some of the common themes, the things that you recognize with them. And there's one which is the odd one out. So maybe we could get rid of the odd one out first, which is the odd one out. Okay, this one, il faisait, is the odd one out. So we're just going to erase that because this, how it's constructed and the ending and everything doesn't follow the same pattern as everything else. Okay, so now we're left with these. Okay, and that's because there are two different tenses. There's quite a few different tenses, but two main tenses that we learn and we use in our speaking when we talk about the past. And this is one of them, which we're not going to learn right now, not today. But the other one is everything else that's circled. Okay, so one of the things, the patterns that I notice is that, okay, let me take this a little bit longer, is that every time you use the past tense, where in English, let's take this one. Okay, where in English you might just say she watched. In French, there's three elements to use the past tense. Elle a regardé. Un, deux, trois. So look, here we go. Un, deux, trois. 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 So the first thing that I noticed when you're making the past tense using this form, you have to have three elements. Okay, and in this first paragraph, we have everything in the third person. She did this, she did that, she went here, she went there. And this is all in the first person. I went here, I went there, I watched this, whatever. So let me clear all of these and let's now add to our checklist. Okay, so you've got past tense. The name of this past tense is passé. composé. Okay, and we're not going to go into a huge amount of grammar today. We'll just break it down bit by bit. And this is called grammar in context. So we're only going to use what we've been looking at today. And we can keep building on this as we go. So you could make a little note here if you wanted to for the passé composé. You need 3 elements. So if you're using the passé composé and you only have 2 words, and it should be and you know it should be 3, you know that you're missing something. Okay, so let's break it down, and I'm going to draw a little chart, and we'll have first person, which is je. Okay, so this is useful for when you're talking about yourself, obviously. And then we're going to write some in the third person. And this is useful if you're talking about il, elle, or on. Très bien. Okay, so I'm going to take it off the red because that's just glaringly horrible. So one of the ones we had in that text was je suis allé. Je suis allé. And actually in the text, there was an extra E. Why is there an extra E, but why am I putting this in parentheses? Because I'm a woman. So when I'm talking about myself or you're talking about somebody else, let's put it for elle, et, allé. You're going to have that extra E. But there's no difference in sound. Elle est allé, il est allé, sounds the same. Je suis allé, but if Jose was to be saying this, je suis allé, it would sound the same. But in writing, he wouldn't have the E. Okay? So that's just one little thing to notice. What were some of the other ones? Let me just quickly flip back. Je suis allé. Oh, yeah. We also had some irregulars too. So if I want to say I drank, j'ai bu. J'ai bu. And you can always write next to this what it means in English if you feel like you're going to forget. Okay, so maybe like with this one, you feel like you're going to forget, put it in a different color. I drank. Okay, that's up to you. Je suis allé, I don't think you're going to forget that, but if you are, then go ahead. J'ai bu, j'ai mangé. I'm going to go back just one more because I forget what was on here. Je suis allé, j'ai bu. Oh, I actually did the wrong ones. Whatever. Okay, so let's move over here. Elle a regardé. Elle a regardé la télévision. So you can see each time 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Voila. And elle a lu. Lu. What is lu? Elle a lu. These irregulars are hard because they don't often look like what they mean. So this is she read. So j'ai lu, j'ai bu. So lu and bu are irregulars that sound the same. They kind of rhyme. Okay, was there anything else? I feel like maybe there was one more. Regardez, oh, a fait. Of course. Elle a fait. So fait is very common. Qu'est-ce que tu as fait? Elle a fait. J'ai fait. So fait is so popular because it means do or make, and it's used in a lot of phrases that we wouldn't even use in English. So having those in the past tense. Okay, So that's enough. We're just taking the grammar from context. And the one thing that you're learning today is that you need all three elements. And that if you see an extra E here for alle, you don't hear it, but you see it for anybody who's a woman. There's a lot of other things, and there are other patterns that we can find. And as we learn more about the passé composé, at French 2, you're learning it this year. At French 3, it's a nice review. Then I want you to have these in your notes so that when you come to do your own writing and you're checking your writing against these notes, you're making those editing changes to make your writing perfect, to make it better, okay? So if you haven't finished writing or typing up, then pause here so you can complete this and then move on with this. Okay, we are going to end class today with our quick quiz. So let me put on pink to go with the pink, vrai ou faux. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions, vrai ou faux, based on the text. And so I'm going to say each one a couple of times, and then you are going to write vrai ou faux, type it in, and submit it. Okay, so numéro 1. Samedi, j'ai fait une promenade. Samedi, j'ai fait une promenade avec John et Joshua. Samedi, j'ai fait une promenade avec John et Joshua. Vrai ou faux? Numéro 2. Samedi, Madame Hunter, j'ai regardé un film sur Netflix avec Monsieur Hunter. Samedi, j'ai regardé un film sur Netflix avec Monsieur Hunter. Vrai ou faux? Numéro 3. Dimanche, moi, Madame Hunter, je suis allée à l'église. Dimanche, je suis allée à l'église. Vrai ou faux? Numéro 4. Dimanche, il pleuvait et il était nuageux. Dimanche, il pleuvait et il était nuageux. Il pleuvait et il était nuageux. Et numéro 5. Okay, this is a grammar question. When Madam Hunter writes alley, there's no difference in sound. So when Madam Hunter writes alley, there's no difference in sound, only spelling. You add an extra E if you're talking about a female, but there's no difference in sound between alley with an E, extra E, and alley without. Vrai ou faux? Okay, class. So once you're done with all of those 5 questions, so the quick quiz, tu as fini. Merci beaucoup et au revoir.